Good afternoon, everyone, and I appreciate you joining us. Today, we're going to talk about, as Dave said, the framework for a successful golf event in challenging times. And the approach we're going to take is, we, as Perfect Golf Event, we work with event organizers all over the country on their fundraising golf events. We have a database of about 37,000 events, and they're constantly asking us for the resources and direction and ideas on how to have a successful golf event, especially with what's going on in the health crisis we're having right now. So the approach we're going to take today is I'm going to kind of share with you what we share with the organizers on how to have a successful event, hoping that you'll be able to use some of these tools in dealing with the events that are coming to your property. So today we're going to talk about what organizers need. We're going to give you some new tools that we've incorporated into services that we recommend for organizers, and that you can certainly incorporate into your event services. What's interesting is we did a survey of our database, and we found that 87% of the organizers are really looking to the golf course to provide resources for a successful event. And by that, I think they mean more resources than they normally receive. As we know, there's a varying range of services provided by golf courses. Some are very interactive with the events, and others just sign the contract and then they do the scoring at the end. So the key here is deciding how you can provide additional value to the events that you want them to stay, you want to attract new events, you want to retain them, and then you also want to increase the revenue that you're going to generate from those events. As we're talking to golf event organizers right now, the first message that we've said to them is, look, if you're thinking about canceling your event, don't do it. That there's a lot of benefits to try and have your event in 2020. It's, first of all, I've been doing this for 16 years, and I know that if you skip a year, it's difficult to relaunch an event. So we're encouraging them, even with modified objectives, to try and have their event this year. A golf event is certainly a great way to re-energize the organization. People have been separated, been working from home. All the people at the nonprofit are spread out, their supporters are spread out. It's a great way to bring people back together and in a great environment. There is no better, safer environment than being in a golf course outdoors with safety precautions in place. So it's a great way to kind of relaunch all their energy and efforts towards fundraising. We are telling them to book their dates now because first of all, there are a lot of events that are traditionally held in the fall. And so if they're trying to find a spot, if they have to move their event to the fall, to get a hold of the golf courses now and get their dates booked to get themselves into the market for the fall of 2020. Also, we'll talk about marketing in a second, but make sure they've started their marketing campaign to get their new date out there if they're relaunching. Now, other people may have a date already scheduled, and we'll talk about how both those can market their event. We've directed them, said, look, one of the things that's most important to a successful golf event is the golf committee. So this is a perfect time to get their committees regenerated. Get them back on some online sessions. Let's go over what we were going to do if the event was going to be in May or June. We lost a little energy. Let's get it back together. Let's figure out what we need to do to get it going. We'll talk about a media plan in a second. Maybe it's a chance to identify new members to bring them to their committee. People are looking who've been working at home, said, hey, I want to help this nonprofit. I know that this is a time that people are going to need more help. Bring new people in to energize your committee. Go through your list of all your committed players and sponsors to make sure that they're still coming, and also get referrals for new people that may be interested in joining you. And then you're going to want to assign tasks to the committee members to sort of monitor your social media activities. And I'll talk about why that's so important in about 5 minutes. I tell the organizers that I work with that if they do this, they're in the top 1% of all the golf events being held in the United States. And that is, do a little sales training with your committees, your staff, and your supporters. So when they're going out to talk to people about the golf event, especially now when they're answering questions about safety procedures and all of that, do a little training. Bring someone in from the committee, from the outside, who knows a little bit about sales, and just make them comfortable explaining why your event is so important to the fundraising effort, why it's going to be a great way for them to network and reconnect. And it's a great way to stand out and help them get them the words in their mouth. Because a lot of people on committees, are financial people, they're operational people, they're not used to selling. And if you're having a successful golf event, it is all about selling potential players and potential sponsors. This is important. This is how we tell them to work with the golf course. And here's some of the things that you should consider that we're telling organizers about how to work with them. First of all, we're saying you've got to confirm your availability and book your date now. Understand the restrictions that are in place, and things are changing rapidly. And so keep updated on what new restrictions or relaxed restrictions there may be. They have to be important to understand the course's cancellation policy. So if you're going to have an event and you're moving it to September, but something happens, then we have to move again. Can you move everything over to 2021 without losing any refunds? Now, normally I would not recommend playing a tournament on a weekend. When I do my events, and I said I've been doing it for about 16 years, my most popular day for an event is a Thursday or a Friday. Sometimes you have to do Mondays because it's a private course. But right now, people have been out of their offices for a long time with this COVID-19. And so some of them may want to be in their offices just for job security, but to reconnecting with their employees. So consider you might find ways to attract events that are willing to do a weekend event, and you may still be able to do it with your course. For example, put out your morning rounds and then have the event tee off at 1 o'clock or vice versa. But this is the only year that I would recommend considering possibly doing weekend golf events. Some other ideas that we communicate with the organizers is to ask the golf course for help this year. Usually a golf course has lots and lots of events. A number of them have lost events. They're looking to make the events successful that they have. So this might be the time to ask the golf course to step up and say, hey, you know what, we're going to help you. We've got a database of players that we're going to go out to. If you want to put a poster up, if you want to do any kind of marketing, we're going to try and help you have a successful event, because we all know that having the event this year is really good for the revenue stream. And also the more you work with them this year, the better chance you have retaining them for future years. You need the business. Golf courses need the business now. So I've recommended to them, the organizers, we've recommended to them as our team, that the golf courses, this might be the time to ask for some cost concessions. Ask for a little wiggle room on what they're charging. And the way to do that is not necessarily say, hey, could you just give me a discount? What we've done with the events that we manage personally at the Perfect Golf Event team is we go in and we're willing to sign a multi-year agreement. So we might say to the golf course, look, we need a little help this year. Normally we'd have 144 players. We'll probably have 110 this year because of what's happening. Give us a little wiggle room on this, and tell you what, we'll sign the contract for right now, for next year, maybe a 2-year agreement beyond this, but make it a win-win between the golf course and the organizer. Also make sure that they look at the contract and remove any restrictions that are in there, for buffets and dinners and things like that, which you're not going to have this year. As we all know, the group dinner is going to be gone. There's no such thing as a buffet. So make sure the contract is current and up to date. And as golf courses, you can be proactive in this approach as well. Now, a couple of format ideas. Some of the events that we work with are moving to set tee times. So instead of having to scramble, just to be safe, they're booking the golf course, and they're just going to have set tee times during the day. So the golfers will play, they'll turn in their scorecards to the golf course, and then afterwards, the event's going to have a Zoom meeting where they're going to share the results, they're going to share photos, recognize the sponsors, have some fun on the Zoom meeting, but still have their event, but spread it out during the course of the day. Another option is to do that, but excuse me, some of the events we work with have decided to do that, but also they said, look, we think it's safe to come back later and have our awards reception outside. We're going to spread tables out, and we're going to have a shootout. So they say, for example, the golfers closest to the pin during the event, during the day, are going to come back. They're going to have a shootout. Maybe it's $1 million shootout. As you know, with shootouts, you can do them on any hole near the clubhouse. So it's a great way to finish the event. But that also allows the organizer to get people together, safely spaced, not jammed together in a bunch of golf carts in a staging area, and possibly have a silent auction. The last one is, and this is interesting, if you measure Google search terms, and we do that a lot in our business, the #1 search term in the golf area right now is virtual golf event. People are looking to say, what is a virtual golf event? Can I do something to resolve my tournament? Now, we really work with people to try and say, look, have your physical golf event the way you normally have. We think it's going to be safe. Well, we have a number of events set up already in July, August, September. They're going forward. They feel more comfortable going forward. But when you mention virtual golf event, I'm not sure how familiar you are, or maybe you'll recommend it yourself. But way to do it is a nonprofit would set up a date range and say, go play this particular golf course between June 1st and June 15th. They arrange a special rate with you for their nonprofit. They arrange the tee time. They've got a special rate. Say, hey, I'm playing for the so-and-so fire department or the food bank. They go in around, their team plays. They submit their scorecards when they're done. And then afterwards, they have a award ceremony. A virtual award ceremony is presented. And they can have that in a Zoom meeting. So you still can have a golf event, spreads it out a little bit, but it's just seeing people, a lot of organizers are searching on the term virtual golf event. So you might want to be prepared on that subject. A couple other things before we get into the marketing side. On the day of the event, we're recommending that the organizers have text check-in. People come up to the bag drop area, then text over to a person saying, Bill Johnson's arrived. They'll have the list of Bill Johnson's on hole number 8A. Send him directly to his cart. There's no registration table. There's no people lined up. There's no congestion. And then we'll have volunteers going to the different carts using a square system, which can work with an iPad or an iPhone. And then they'll sell them their mulligans or raffle tickets, whatever they need, just going by from the different carts, socially distant as best they can. But you don't want to see a large line with congestion. Now, this is one of the tools that you might be able to share for this. Apologize as the fire department goes by. One of the tools you might be able to share with your organizers, and they are looking to golf courses for as much help as they can. And the more tools you can provide to them, I think the better off your relationship will be. One of the most important tools is their revenue and expense projections. And this is a template that we provide to our organizers. It allows them to go in and plug in all of their expected revenue based on the activities they're going to have during the event. So they can say, how much am I going to make for my hole-in-one contest, my long drive, my putting, whatever. It also allows them to fill in how many player spots are going to be included with the major sponsorships. And then the second section is the expense section, where they can plug in what the costs are going to be, what the cost of the golf course is going to be, and they end up with their net revenue projections. And we're having them all go through sort of a revisit to their budgets based on what's happening in 2020. But this is really an important tool for the organizer working with their committee. And this is probably one of the most popular things people ask us for. So you might want to incorporate something like this into your toolbox as a golf course. A couple other tips we advise them is review every line item to make sure they can identify the areas where they can reduce the cost. This is really important this year. One area they do it is trade sponsorships for any costs that they can identify. So if they normally print a program or they have beverages that are not donated, trade them for a sponsorship. Anything they can trade a sponsorship, because they're going to have extra spots available, so trade them. We're also asking this year volunteers. Normally you treat all the volunteers, all the staff to all the, the meals or whatever. We're telling them, hey, put a small fee on this year. Say, hey, we've got to watch every dollar in our bottom line and do that. Couple other ideas before we get in the marketing side. It's important, I think, to give the golfers a chance to walk if they want. We know that if you have to space out, and hopefully the cart restrictions will be reduced, but if you have to have only one person per cart, I'm going to strain on everybody, including the budget. So we're encouraging golfers to say, give them the option to walk. When they use our Perfect Golf Event website, they can give the golfer the option to say, yeah, I want to walk. And then we've even said, hey, we recommend, why don't you give them a special thank you gift for walking? Give them a beverage cart carrier that can fit into their golf bag. It can be logoed with the sponsor logo. It's a cool tool so they can walk, maybe do a pull cart. And it's a great way to reduce the requirements for carts and maybe reduce some costs. The food and beverage considerations are really important, obviously. So what we've decided that when we work with the events, and I think this is a great opportunity for golf courses as well, is that we're working with local sponsors to say, hey, normally they would have a box lunch or a box dinner, depending on tee-off time, but let's take a box lunch. You get a sandwich and some chips and an apple. But wait a second, we've got a lot of sponsors for our tournament this year, and our sponsors are offering upgraded box lunches. And so if you like Mexican food or Greek food or barbecue, when you go to register online for the event, hopefully they're using our website. The person can say, you know what, I'm going to pay an extra $20 because I want to get lobster rolls from the Lobster Crab, or I want deluxe barbecue. And so they can upgrade their standard box and also give them the option to take dinners home. So we deliver a group of the box lunches for the event. And then after the event, if people want to say, hey, I want to take a bunch of things home for my family for the dinner, let me play golf today, and they can buy a bunch of things to be delivered right after the event, would have them delivered to the course, labeled safely, no contact. I just think it's a great idea to involve your sponsors. Now, if I was a golf course, the way I would approach it is I would upgrade the offerings I made to the club, so to the event. I would say, hey, why don't we do this? Why don't we do some upgrade options? They could have a standard box lunch as part of their registration fee, but if they want to do some things that are enhanced, we're going to put together some special box lunches for them to order, and then the course can provide it. And that gives the course revenue. They can pre-order beverage packages. So maybe somebody wants to order, and now they're loosening those kind of restrictions. So somebody wants to order a pitcher of margaritas for their cart, or some Bloody Marys, or whatever. Just be creative in what you can do, and gives you a chance for the organizer to maybe raise a little more money with these upgraded options. And as a golf course, make additional revenue if you package these things properly. Other thing that a lot of events are doing is, of course, you're not going to have coolers on the course. You're not going to, because people aren't going to be able to reach in a bunch of ice and pick them up. So they're doing pre-packaged 6-packs or with coolers of beer or water. Again, a great sponsorship opportunity. So they can be put out there as people come to registration and say, hey, you know, water's free. Do you want a 6-pack of beer? It's $25. Put it on your cart. It's your own private stash. And that's a great way to get around the fact that you can't have beverage coolers out of the course. And you can also have restocks of these out there. You know, so people can restock their beer, you know, in a safe environment. Let's talk for a second about safety procedures. So it's really important that the events communicate right now, as we work with our organizers, to say, make sure you're getting the message across that, hey, it's going to be safe. We're following an official safety plan. You post that on the website. You update it as things change. Excuse me. You want to make sure for a lot of our events, we will put out event rules, and they're printed rules. Great sponsorship opportunity. We're always looking to see what's a great sponsorship opportunity. But if you're going to have automatic 2-putt rule, that you're not going to use the sand traps, leaving the flag in, any other safety procedures, you can send this out as a PDF before the event, and then, you know, we usually print them at our events and have them on the cart so everybody can see them. And if you want, this is a copy of the 4-page Perfect Golf Event safety procedures we put together, which addresses safety procedures for the staff, the golf course, the volunteers, the players. It's a 4-pager, pretty detailed. If you want a copy of that, I'll give you another email address when we're done, but I'll be glad to send you a copy of the safety procedures. And it instructs the organizers what to ask the golf course when they're going and reviewing their event. Now, technology is very important, and this is somewhere where you can really help organizers have a more successful event by introducing technology, especially in these days and times where you don't want to have a lot of paper floating around. So we tell them, look, promote having a website. Hopefully they use Perfect Golf Event. Encourage everyone to register online to eliminate contact at registration and check-in. You can add raffle tickets, mulligans, super ticket to the site, so everything can be purchased in advance. It's easy to track all the activity, so everything can be downloaded for reports for the event, so they can give the golf course everything they need and their input into their system that they're using. And then teams can easily be updated because our system allows the players, the team captains, to go back in and change their teams at any time, so it avoids some of that event day chaos. And this is an example, you know, of an event being held in Philadelphia where they've got their player registration, their foursomes, they start selling their title sponsorships or their sponsorships. But they also put in a raffle ticket, super ticket, mulligans. So all these things are done in one transaction. And that way, no one's floating papers around, and they'll collect their money up front, and they'll have all the reports they need. So, for example, someone buys raffle tickets. Let's say they buy 10 raffle tickets. The organizer has that information. When they go to the event, we're recommending they take the 10 raffle tickets, label it with the player's name and what hole number they're going to be on, and put them in a Ziploc bag. So now they've got safe, clean, disinfected raffle tickets, and they hand them. And even when they're doing their event, have their raffle tickets pre-packaged in Ziploc bags, and you sell them in quantities of 5 or 10 or 15, but nobody's ripping off tickets and handing them all around. What we found is this is interesting, that events in 2019 that used an online registration platform, they increased their revenue by 22% because people were buying more things online. They felt secure they felt secure with their credit card. Their reports could be uploaded into the golf course system, and they got instant tax receipts. This is an important area, and this is called marketing to market your event. And so again, they're going to have to communicate the change to everybody, update their website, use email tools to promote it. These are all things they need to do to communicate what's going on. The message they want to communicate is they're looking forward to reconnecting. The event is going to be held. It's going to be 100% refundable if we can't hold it. They're going to have safety procedures. And this is something we need. We need to be able to have this event to continue to provide our services in a challenging economy. So these are important messages that they want to get out so that people understand why they're having the golf event. It's not a silly thing. It's an important part of the mission of the nonprofit to support the cause that they're trying to do. And that's a very serious message that has to be given out there when you're asking people to take time away from their re-emerging business to play. What we provide, and this is something you can provide to your events as well, we give them a sample marketing calendar and said, look, take a look at your event, go through your calendar, and then look at all the areas of marketing that you should be considering, and then look for any gaps. So if my event's in October, am I not doing something in a particular area where I'm not doing something in June or July, I might lose momentum for an event. So some of the tools are really important, like the revenue expense projections and the marketing calendar are probably two of the most popular that events ask us for, and it's certainly tools that you as golf course operators can provide. Social media, we sometimes give lip service to it. It's important on social media that you really focus on it because people are online. They're spending, I think they said people are spending maybe 60% more time online at home than they ever did before. So work on getting your message out. One of the things that we do for our events is we get a local community service person to volunteer. We'll go to a local college and say, hey, who's really smart? Who's looking to build their resume? Who wants to be able to post something on LinkedIn that they helped build an event? And we'll bring volunteer in because some of the younger people are much more astute in terms of social media, and we'll have them drive in there and say, tell us what we should be doing on social media. What do our posts look like? What should we do it? How do we get our message out there? It's a good resource to tap. And you can also involve the local media. Usually the local newspapers don't really care about another golf event. There's 300,000 charity golf events, but now they're looking for positive news. So you can go out and prepare a press release, say, hey, how the information's being used. Media outlets like case studies. So give an example of someone if you're raising money for a food bank or whatever it is, how are people benefiting for it? And we've recommended, and this is being adapted by some of the areas, is maybe this year you add one additional contest. Maybe you do a 50-50 raffle that doesn't benefit your nonprofit particularly, but benefits a local healthcare or a healthcare workers fund or local food banks. Media people will pick up on that. I'm based in St. Louis, and we know already that we've gotten response to this. They're saying, well, that's really a great idea. That's a really different way to do it. So this is the one year you might be able to get the local media a little more interested in promoting golf events. Attracting sponsors. There's many sponsorship options, but one of the things we see when we look at events is they don't really offer enough sponsorships. And that's very important, is to go out there and say, how many sponsorships will be available, and then make sure they've got sizzle for all those sponsorships. And so you might look at, for example, this would be if I'm looking at a golf event, and we review golf events all the time with our Perfect Golf Event team, and we look and say, look, you might only have 6 sponsorships. You really need a lot more sponsorships. So anything that you can put a logo on, you could have a sponsorship for. So add more. And then in terms of sizzle, what you don't want to see is a title sponsor gets a logo on the website, a logo on the banner, and one team for $10,000. You want to say, hey, what's all the stuff they're going to get before the event, the day of the event, and after the event? In working with your sponsors, you want to be able to get the message across as you're trying to sell your sponsorships this year that we want to help you reconnect, regenerate your business, recover lost business. A golf event's a great environment to do that. And we're going to help you do that by getting people interested in revisiting your business. That's the message you want to do when you're selling sponsorships. One recommendation we've done this year, instead of another player gift, no one really needs another hat or another shirt at this point. They have other bigger issues. So we've said, let's bundle together the player package gifts with offers from our sponsors. So you'd have a folder, thanks for support. Here's our player gift package, and included will be all the offers from our different sponsors. So you can get free delivery for 6 months, 2-for-1 meals, discounts, free appetizers, discounts on gift cards, anything that we can drive business to the sponsors. And if you put that message across when you're revisiting sponsors now that said, hey, my restaurant's been closed for 3 months, I'm not sure I could do a golf event, you have to have a message that says, let me tell you how this is going to help you jumpstart your business again and bring more people back. And then we offer, one idea is offer even signs that the stores can put in to say, hey, I'm sponsoring this particular golf event. Let's talk quickly about attracting players. Excitement is what people are going to look for. So we'll talk about the event excitement in a minute, but you want to ask for referrals. You want to ask anybody registering to promote their account on social media. Every committee member should try and get 2 teams. You might have an early bird incentive now, or a reduced rate for this year if they'll make a commitment to a full rate for next year. And if you can, ask the golf course if they'll throw in some free rounds that you can use, maybe as your incentives for the early bird registration. We always ask the organizers, and this is where you can help them as golf course operators, what's your excitement plan? So if you have a typical event, it might have breakfast, lunch, golf, and awards. Well, you should have more things than that. So before tee off, you might have putting contest on the course, hole-in-one contest after golf. And I'm going to give you an example of a live event. So here's a real event coming up in September, and you can see we practice what I preach. So this is our event excitement package. All the stuff that's happening with this, and again, they're going to post this, and if somebody wants a copy of the slides from this afterwards, I'll be glad to send it to you. But it tells, hey, what's happening pre-event, what's happening on the course, what's happening after golf. So if somebody's making a decision to play in a golf event, they could say, wow, do I want to go to a place that has golf, a box lunch, and some awards, or would I like to come to this event that's got everything, including a helicopter ball drop? We also work a lot with changing formats on events to move away from the 4-person scramble. We think that you can do some modifications because the scrambles take so long and people need to get in and out now, get back to the office or back to their homes. So we work with them on new formats. And one of the ones, for example, here's one that we did as a team last year for Folds of Honor. It was a brand new event. So it's a competitive market in North Carolina. So said, what can we do that's different? And so we did 18 par 3 holes. We had 18 hole-in-one contests. We had an 18-player shootout at the end. The round was done in 3.5 hours, and they raised net $100,000 the first year, and they're already almost sold out for Veterans Day this year. So you can consider different options for formats. And if you want to see any of these examples when you have a lot more time, we've recorded all of them on Perfect Golf webinars as well. Last couple things we're going to cover. Consider working with them on contests. I think golf courses can do a much better job from our experience in working with them on exciting contests to add to their event. And I'm not talking about like a contest where you're just going to do a car. This is a list of the hole-in-one contests that we worked with organizers on last year. Everything from a fishing trip to British Columbia to a cooking tour of Italy. You can do anything you put a price on can be really an interesting hole-in-one contest. So it's something to consider. And you can do them custom for your event. So here's an event in Philadelphia last year that wanted to do something that just was unique to Philadelphia area. So we put together a contest for them for the hole-in-one where the winner got to go to either an Eagles-Packers game or an Eagles-Dolphins game and play at Doral, Sixers and Heat, and play golf at Doral. You can customize these wherever you're located. And we've worked with a number of golf courses in particular markets that said, can you come up with some ideas? So we've done them in Dallas and Denver. We've done them other ones in Florida, Philadelphia, Boston, where they picked local teams and local activities. And they said, let's make those unique hole-in-one contests. So those are things to think about. And we can always help you with those hole-in-one contest ideas and how they're booked. Here's one example, for example, that was done in St. Louis, where they put together season tickets to an MLS team and a Blues and Sixers and Blues and Cardinals package. So it made interesting contests that were local, and that's something you could bring to your organizers as ideas. Last one, okay, super ticket. For a lot of events, doing a super ticket is something where they can bundle all of their contests into one transaction, and they can be customized. So they might have a putting contest and 2 mulligans, entry into shot to take a shot for $1 million. So instead of having 6 transactions at the event where they're buying here, mulligans here, raffle tickets here, putting contest entry here, they sell, you know, one super ticket for $50. It includes all the contests, and they could sell that online as well. One of the more popular ones that happened last year is we put together, so let's say they're playing a golf event. This is what they get normally. The golf ticket includes everything they get with their registration, $150, $250, whatever they're paying. But if they add $100 a player, what happens is they get entry into the putting contest, 2 mulligans, a chance to qualify for $1 million shootout. And if they get a hole-in-one where there normally would be bonus holes, like a $500 Golf Now gift card, if they have a hole-in-one on that hole, they would give 2 tickets to the Masters worth $12,000, or Super Bowl tickets or a Pebble Beach trip. 92% of the golfers who played in the events that had the super ticket offer bought the super ticket. The events raised a lot more money. It covered the cost of the contest, and it made it much more exciting. Last one, and this is where I think they miss an opportunity. When you're at your 2020 event, start getting organized for 2021, and hopefully they've signed a contract with the golf course for a couple of years, and they know what the date is next year. But right there, we'll have flyers that said, hey, we've already booked our event for next year. Here's the date. Didn't we have fun here today? Will you come on back next year? Here, why don't you give us a simple registration? No obligation if you have to cancel, but it gives us an idea of who's interested. They can take their website, update it right away, and send a link out saying, thanks for playing in our golf event. Here's the link to next year's event. Put it on your calendar now. Just use every marketing tool you can do to build momentum for your events. And so we provide all these in a sort of a kit for all of our golfers, gives them everything they need. If you're interested from a golf course standpoint, it's something that can be co-branded with your course logo, where you can give them the websites, budgets, tools, everything that they need to attract their events. So I want to thank you very much. I know I went quickly, and I hope you didn't mind me. I just know you're all busy. If you want to talk to any of us, this is our contact information. If you want a copy of the presentation, or if you want to talk at any point in the future, feel free to contact me directly. My email is paul@perfectgolfevent. You've got my contact information here. And I thank you very much, for listening, and thank you very much.
Hey, Paul, it's
yes,
Barton here. I think we might have one question. Do you see that one by chance in your Q&A?
Let me see up here. Hold on. Yeah, I see. Let's see questions. Oh yeah. Okay. I'm click on it. Yeah, the question was about preferred formats, and I said, right now we are seeing people trying to stay with the traditional scramble form. I mean, when I say scramble, they might be doing all par threes or 9-hole par threes, 9 regulation, but they're trying to stay with the group so they can get the benefits of that. The other one is they're doing set tee times, where they're just playing all day at the golf course, and then they're doing either coming back to the course for a spaced out reception, or they're going to do a Zoom meeting. Those were about, I would say 2 weeks ago, everybody was moving to try and figure out a different format. All of a sudden, we're starting people come back to say, we're feeling more that we can have our normal event. We're going to space out, but we'd really try and rather bring the group together. So hopefully that was helpful. And somebody asked a question if they can get the slides. And certainly just email me if you want slides or any of the handouts. Just email Paul@perfectgolfevent. I'll be glad to help you.
Yeah, that's great, Paul. Listen, thank you very much for coming today. It was really informative, and much appreciate your time today. And we'll look forward to speaking with you in the near future.
Thanks, Dave. Everybody stay safe. Thank you.